What's one thing it seems nobody in Las Vegas is doing right now? Selling a townhome or a condo. There is very little inventory that exists in either segment of the multifamily housing market here in the Las Vegas Valley. So let's find out why, and let's talk about what the actual numbers are that we're seeing at this time. I am Justin Miller with the Chong Miller Group. At the Chong Miller Group, we help people buy and sell homes. We help people build wealth through real estate. Every month, I put out a market update video on the single family market, as well as another one on condos and townhomes in the multifamily segment of the market. This is the January 2024 real estate market update for condos and townhomes here in Las Vegas Valley. Please smash the like button, subscribe if you've not already, and share these videos with your friends, your neighbors, your colleagues, your family members, anyone who you think might benefit from the knowledge contained herein. I produce these videos so that my viewers have better information, accurate information, and better insights into what's actually taking place in the real estate market, so that if you want to or you need to engage in the real estate market, you have knowledge which is going to set you up for success, and considerable success vis-a-vis the others who do not have this information. All right, let's go ahead and dive right in. We're going to dive in with condos first, and then we'll look at townhomes after that. Condos, kind of interesting. Pricing on condos for December of 2023. Remember, this is a January 2024 market update. We look at the actual data that was produced from the month prior as well as the year prior. So we're looking at December 2023 numbers. We're comparing that to November 2023, and we're comparing it to December 2022. So we see what happened over the prior month as well as over the prior 12-month period of time. Median sale price. This is the price of actually sold units at the time the buyer actually takes possession. So this is the agreed to sale price on the closed contract, $235,000. Now that's interesting. It is down 2.1% from the $240,000 that we saw at the end of November. However, this is up 11.9% from the $210,000 median sale price that we'd seen on condos in the Las Vegas Valley in December of 2022. So that means that we actually saw 11.9%, almost 12% price appreciation year over year from the beginning of 2023, January 1st, 2023, through December 31st, 2023, we saw price appreciation on condos of 11.9%. Now, just for comparison, single-family homes, we saw that number go up by 7.0%. We're up very considerably. We're up virtually 12% year over year on condo prices. That is a very significant, economically significant, statistically significant gain in pricing on condo units. If you own a condo, you've made money. If you wanted to buy a condo and you thought you'd just wait until prices came down, prices did not go down. They're not going to go down. They may fluctuate some. So we saw they went down from November to December, down 2.1%, but those are transitory according to the particular month. We've seen a year of appreciation at almost 12%, 11.9%. Okay, so let's look at demand for condos during the course of 2023. The number of sales that took place in December of 2023 was 248. That number is down by 4.6%, or 12 units from the 260 that sold in November of 2023. That number is up, interestingly, 11.2% from the 223 that sold in December of 2022. This actually is a really weak number for sold units, and with the exception of a few months in 2015, we'd actually have to go back to 2008 to see sold transaction volume at these levels. So the market, just like we saw in single family homes, very weak transaction volume. What was driving that? Very high interest rates that existed throughout the entirety of 2023, with rates actually going up for most of the year. Rates started to fall a little bit in the month of November and December of 2023. However, that is just because the market's been equalizing to the sort of range that it should be relative to the 10-year Treasury, and 10-year Treasuries had sort of normalized during that time. We'll see what happens in January. I suspect that rates are going to fluctuate some as bond traders come back into the market from holidays and try to lock in some of the gains they've had. I think that we'll see bond prices going down a little bit, meaning interest rates will go up a little bit. Starting in February, I think we'll start to see a more stable downtrend in interest rates and mortgage interest rates. And so that should help to uncover some of the latent demand that's out there. But in the actual express demand as sales, we saw considerable weakness. Well, we also had express demand unveiling itself in pending contracts that were written that have not yet closed. That number, 254 in December of 23, that is up 3 units or 1.2% from 251 contracts that have been written in November. It is up 7.2% from the 237 that had been written December of the year prior. So pending contracts a little bit better, and these numbers are all higher than their corresponding closed sales. That indicates that we should see some strengthening in sales activity in January. But these pending numbers are still very low. We are looking at numbers that look like the year 2008 by and large in the condo space. Now, that's the apparent demand, right? Not the latent, the hidden demand, but the apparent demand that's actually been expressed, entering into a contract and closing on an actual purchase. What about the supply side, though? This is where the market is really particularly interesting, because we already knew that interest rates being very high would cut into the ability for people to buy and or the ability for people to just simply make the commitment to express desire to buy. And so we expected to see demand numbers that were relatively weak, but the supply numbers are even more interesting. 798 number of condos listed for sale at the end of December of 2023. That's down from 899. It's down 11.2% from the number of condos that were listed for sale at the end of November of 2023. That's a really significant drop-off. That's a strong seasonal drop. Now, we always expect to see a seasonal drop between November and December, but this is bigger than what we might expect to see in a normal seasonal pattern. This is down 23.3% from the 1,040 condos that were listed for sale in December of 2022. Very weak. Now, I will say December is always the weakest month of the year for inventory, because people don't want to be listing or having their units for sale during the holidays. Some people will pull out of market. Some people will not put their properties into market, and they'll delay until January. We'll talk about new listings in just a second, but this overall inventory number really quite weak. Okay, so what about those new listings? This is newly listed resale condos, not new construction, but newly listed into the marketplace during the course of December of 2023. Resale condos, 301. This is down 130 from 430 that were listed in the month of November, down 30.2%. It's a huge drop in the number of newly listed resale condos coming into the market in December of 2023. This is up a little bit. It's up 10.3% from the 273. It's up approximately 25 from what we saw in December of last year. But with the exception of of December of last year, this is actually the lowest number of new listings that we'd seen in the condo market since July of 2008. This is a really, really low number of new listings. So this is what's missing in the market, is inventory and sellers, potential sellers, expressing an interest in actually listing their unit to be able to sell. So we've got buyers who are feeling the negative impacts of really high interest rates, but we've got buyers who are sort of structurally boxed out of being able to make offers and go into contract if they don't see what they want to be able to buy. And so with these very low inventory numbers being further depleted by very low listings of new entrants into the market, we're seeing that the supply side is actually constraining the demand side of this market. Now, one other data piece that I want to give you, the condo market, and that is back on market. That's failed contracts. That number, 81 condos that had gone into contract, failed, dropped out of contract, and that unit came back into the market for sale to another buyer. That is 24.6% of all contracts failed, all condo contracts failed. That remains double what we'd be seeing in a normal market of sort of 10 to 15, usually about 12%, 10 to 12% of contracts fail. So this is something that's been very elevated for 3 years now, since the beginning of 2020, that we've seen this throughout 2020, 2021, 2022, 2023, 4 years now. So this is something you want to pay particular attention to, and you want to make sure you're talking to an agent if you're thinking about listing your condo for sale, asking what's going on. Why are failed contracts so high? What are you going to do about it with regard to my property to make sure that doesn't happen? Same thing if you're a buyer and you're talking to an agent, make sure you understand from them what they think about this back on market issue, what's prompting it, how they're protecting you in a contract to make sure that does not impact you. This is really important. You want to make sure you're protecting yourself. Some agents out there, ourselves obviously included, very good with regard to this issue. We understand what's going on. We understand how to protect on both sides of a transaction around the issue of failed contracts. There'll always be some number of contracts that fail for reasons that are beyond anyone's control, but a lot of these failures are happening for reasons that could be controlled prospectively, and there are agents who are simply failing to be able to deal with the kinds of issues that we know are coming up in this marketplace. Make sure you hire an agent who understands and has the capacity to deal with these problems. All right, so again, this is the market update for condos and townhomes for January 2024. Please smash the like button, subscribe, share these videos, and now let's go on and look at townhomes. What happened in the townhome space here in the Las Vegas Valley in December of 2023? Now, this is actually an interesting data point. This is the median price for sold townhomes, sold resale townhomes in the Las Vegas Valley during the month of December of 2023, $312,000. Now, this is a substantial drop from the $325,000 that we saw in November 2023. This is a $13,000 price drop, or 4.0%. Now, this is quite contrary to what we've seen in some of the other market segments here in Las Vegas Valley ending out the year 2023. What about year over year? December 2022, we were at $312,450. We are down 0.1% of $550 from where we were 1 year ago. The townhome space is the only segment of the market where we actually saw prices dropping year over year. Remember, condos were up 11.9% year over year. Single family homes, by comparison, we were up 7.0%. Townhomes, we dropped year over year, just barely, $550 or 0.1%, but townhome prices came down. Now, Obviously, we had all of those issues that were impacting the other segments of the market, such as low inventory, giving buyers less to look at and go into contract on, as well as very high interest rates impacting buyers' ability to make a decision, or perhaps be able to afford, or just simply wanting to avoid some of the high and highly volatile interest rate issues that were out there in the market at the end of the year. Now, I will point out the townhome market overall, so it's about a third the size of the condo market, and the condo market itself is only about a tenth the size of the single family home market. Now, I say that because the issue when you're dealing with small numbers, small populations, is any individual transaction can have a really significant statistical impact or percentage impact on the overall view of the market. And so we need to be a little bit careful when we think about these townhome numbers as to what's the information embedded within the data that we're looking at. We could easily overanalyze and say problems are materializing in the townhome market space where they may not be. This may simply be we had a stronger November, and that was because a couple transactions from December closed early. It could be that we'll have a better January because a couple transactions that should have closed in December will actually close in January, and that may influence what's actually going on. So be a little careful in interpreting these numbers, but in the townhome space, we actually fell year over year with regard to price. Now, I will also point out in the townhome space with regard to price, the townhome market, submarket, was the first submarket to see year-over-year price increases and was the quickest to recover for most of the drop that we had seen take place in the second half of 2022. And so we've actually seen prices sort of range bound on the median townhome over the course of October 2022 throughout the entirety of 2023. We've been stuck in a pattern that's sort of 312,000 to 335,000 at that peak. And we've just been fluctuating within that narrow band. So this may be not so much prices are going down, but simply we're still stuck in this narrow band as related to the median townhome. Now, certainly there are some townhomes transacting at very high prices, some at lower prices, but this is what the median is. So that's pricing. But what about the demand side of the townhome market? The demand side tells us how many contracts were written as well as how many contracts closed. It tells us about the activity of buyers. Now, buyers do have to have inventory or supply to be able to look at and put something in a contract. So we'll look at supply numbers in a minute. But it means that no transactions take place without buyers. And so this is actually telling us a lot about demand and what's taking place on the demand side of the market. So December of 2023, 149 townhomes closed. That number is down substantially. It's down 11.3% from the 168 townhomes that closed in November. Why would we see lower numbers in December? Well, we always get a seasonal slowdown in the December timeframe. And so that's explaining at least a part of what went on in December of 2023 relative to November. We also perhaps still have supply issues, supply constraints, which we'll get to in a couple minutes, as well as high interest rates working their way through the economy. And so overall, we saw 11.3% decrease in the closed transactions on townhomes for December relative to November. What about relative to the prior December or over the course of the year? 152 were down 3 closed townhomes from where we were in December of 2022 relative to December of 2023. This is down 2%. Now, kind of interestingly, that means that each townhome is contributing in and of itself about 1% of the market. We're down 2%, we're down 3 townhomes. So 2/3 of a percent in terms of the overall influence in the market. That does mean we're dealing with relatively small numbers. It means we have to be careful interpreting the statistics. Anything that's a calculated statistic, like a percentage, it looks larger statistically than what might be in terms of the actual numbers of units if these were bigger numbers, for example. But because townhomes make up such a small market segment, about 1/3 the total number of condos, and condos themselves are only about 10% the size of the single family market. So we're looking at a very small market segment when we're looking at townhomes. Now, I will say, regardless of what these numbers are, with the exception of January 2023, this is the lowest number of closed townhome transactions that we've seen going all the way back to 2008. So it is definitely a really low number overall. Now, what about pending, the other version of demand? Pending contracts, buyer writes an offer to a seller accepts, we've got a contract, but it's not yet closed. Well, 162 in December 2023. That's actually encouraging because it's above the number that we had for sold, 149. So that suggests some growth month over month that we'll see actually in January. This number is actually up. It's up 21.8% relative to the 133 pending contracts that we had written in November. And why would we expect to see some growth? Well, even though there's a seasonal influence, we did see interest rates coming down over the course of the month of December. And so that may well have brought some buyers into the market who had otherwise not been wanting to be looking late in the year of 2023. This number is actually up from 149 pending contracts, or up 8.7% that we saw in December of 2022. And remember, I just told you the sales numbers, the closed numbers in January of 2023 were the lowest that we'd seen, the only month that we'd seen that's lower since 2008. Well, we saw that really low pending number in December of 2022, giving rise to that low closed number in January 2023. Now, overall, the pending number well below normal, just like the sales numbers, very considerably below normal. All right, that's the demand side of the market. What about the supply side of the townhome market? So again, as I suggested at the beginning, there's very few people actually trying to sell townhomes right now. Inventory for sale townhomes, 407. That number is down 20.0% from 509, down 102 townhomes from November of 2023. Strong seasonal influence, but this goes beyond a normal seasonal influence. That 20% drop off is much more than we would expect to see just simply going through a normal December. What about relative to the prior year, December of 2022, we were down 45.2% from the 743. We're seeing a continual drop in inventory that started in October of 2022. We've gone through we went through October, November, December of 2022, and we've gone through all of 2023 seeing inventory just dropping and dropping and dropping. We are in very weak inventory conditions here in the townhome space. And this is largely duplicated across all the other market subsegments for housing, but we're seeing it very strongly here in the townhome space. So what about new inventory, newly listed resale townhomes that came into the market during the course of December? 147, down 24.2%, almost a 1/4 drop from what we saw in November of 2023. Again, this is a huge drop, and there is a seasonal pattern here where we see these numbers come down in December every year, but this is way beyond what we see in normal seasonal variation. This is a statistically significant drop in the number of newly listed resale townhomes coming into the market in December of 2023. This is going to be impacting us for quite a long time going forward. Inventory is really low, as we saw in those for sale numbers, and newly listed is incredibly low, meaning we're not going to be replacing the inventory that gets sold. In fact, sold 149, newly listed 147. We did not get enough new listings of townhomes in December to even replace those that came out from actual sales, right? And some townhomes may have come out of inventory, not from a sale, but because the owner decided to rent it out. Now, it's not going to come back in is inventory to sell. Some, perhaps a seller decided, well, maybe now is not a good time to sell. I'll sit back and I'll wait for a couple years, or what have you. So these new listing numbers really low, and they're pulling inventory down even further. Now, what about relative to December of 2023? December of 2022? We are down 17.4% from the 178 new listings that we saw in December of 22. This is the lowest number of newly listed townhomes, newly listed resale townhomes for sale since August of 2008. And just to remind you, in 2008, we were in the depths of the great financial crisis. We were in a very distressed housing market here in Las Vegas. Now, the housing market looked completely different than it does now. The distress was coming from factors which are very divergent from what we're seeing now. But we saw at that time very unusual numbers. Well, we're duplicating some of those unusual numbers right now. Newly listed in December of 2023, the lowest we've seen since August 2008. All right, one more statistic for townhomes, and that is back on market. Back on market 64, that's 30.0% of all townhome contracts failed. Again, very elevated, slightly more than double of the normal sort of 10 to 15% that we would expect to see under normal market conditions. And we've been suffering through these very high back on market numbers, these very elevated problems with contracts since the beginning of, or very early in 2020, just before we went into the pandemic-induced lockdown on the economy. We have not been able to, as an industry here in Las Vegas, overcome the challenges to contracts that are causing them to fail. Now, some of us as real estate agents have gotten very good at dealing with these issues. We know what's causing these issues to materialize, and we're able to work through these issues to protect our clients, whether those are seller clients or buyer clients. I strongly recommend you talk to your potential agents as you're interviewing them. You talk to us, please. We'll be able to help you with these issues. Make sure you're asking about what's going on with back on market. Why are these numbers so high? What's causing contracts to fail? And how are you, real estate agent, going to protect me and my contract to make sure that I don't have to experience this? Really critical for your success in this marketplace. So again, I am Justin Miller with the Chong Miller Group. At the Chong Miller Group, we help buyers and sellers. We help buyers and sellers of townhomes and condos. We help people build wealth through real estate. Please reach out. I'd love to talk with you. I'd love to help you with your real estate adventure, whether you're buying or selling. And I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Thank you.